Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Moving Picture Massacre. This is episode 13, and we're super excited to talk to you today about an older black and white movie that we have never seen. So, as always, I am Tom, and I'm here with Matt and Ricky. And Matt, take it away.
All right. So the movie that we watched this week is one of my picks, and it is called The Killer Shrews. I actually picked this up in a box set. It's like five sci-fi movies. Four of them are black and white. One is in color. If that bothers you, Ricky discovered that this is also in color on Tubi. We watched it all in black and white though, so that's what we're kind of reviewing here. I don't know what it would be like in color now that I've seen this. If I would like it more, if I would hate it more. But anyways, not to get off topic. This movie came out in 1959, and it's got Ray Kellogg as the director. And Tom said he does another movie in this box set called what, the Giant Gila Monster, right?
Correct. He was a
Okay.
special effects artist, and this was his directorial debut. These two movies, he released them in the same year.
Awesome, awesome. Okay. The cast of this movie is James Best, Ingrid Goud, I think is her name, and then we got Ken Curtis. And I just realized a little bit earlier who Ken Curtis was because I did not know through this whole movie. It is Festus from the Gunsmoke series, the Western, gun shooting Matt Dillon TV show that everyone's grandpa used to watch. And it's got a decent cast of people in it. The acting, I guess, isn't always really great. But anyways, this is a movie about shrews. And if you don't know what a shrew is, it's a little mouse like creature. And these things somehow, I don't really remember off the top of my head, become mutated. I don't know if they found them mutated and bred them, but they they turn into 50 to 100-pound shrews, and there are apparently hundreds of them on an island. And that is where I'm going to leave this introduction right now, so I don't spoil everything. But overall, it's a black and white movie. Like we said, I enjoyed it. I don't have a lot of expectations, I think, for black and white movies either. So when I sit down, I know what I'm getting into, and it's the perfect length, and I can just enjoy watching it. Um, Tom, was there anything you wanted to add about this movie that I just left out?
I don't think there's anything that you left out. It is one of those movies where you can sit down at any point in the day and get through it real quick because it's just over an hour long. It's just long enough not to get annoyed by maybe the bad acting or that you're watching or some of the bad special effects that you're looking at, and you kind of get a start, a middle, and a finish in a good enough time to enjoy. It was okay. It wasn't the best black and white movie we've seen so far in our venture of 13 episodes, in my opinion. But I did like some things about it. There were some fun little elements to it, some interesting ways of people dying, some lovely acting when it came to that. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. But otherwise, just in general, it was pretty okay. Ricky, what did you think about it overall?
Luckily, I went into it with the right mindset. I knew it was going to be a black and white movie from the 1950s. I wasn't expecting any kind of cool effects. I also wasn't expecting a bunch of dogs running around dressed like rats, but I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It's what you would expect from a 1950s creature horror film. So, I mean, middle of the road, maybe a little bit below that, but we'll figure out why here in a few. Matt?
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you. You kind of do have to have the right mindset to watch this, especially like people our age. We're all 35 years old or in that area, and we've grown up in the prime time for horror. So we've gotten all the good classics to watch, and then you kind of, I guess, over time desensitize yourself to black and white. So I try and go in with the mindset of what someone from 1959 would be like watching this movie. You get the old Universal monster movies, stuff like that, and uh, everyone's like, "Those were great." Those scared me with Dracula and everything. And I watch it, and I don't feel that because I've grown up watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Friday the 13th series, Exorcist, stuff like that. And when you watch a movie like this, you just kind of have to understand what people went through back then, I think. And this was brand new to them. And once you get into that mindset, it's a movie that I think you will enjoy. With saying that, This kind of honestly reminds me of a little bit of a longer Twilight Zone episode. It's black and white. I think it would fit in really good in something like that. But you get these an hour and 10-minute long movies instead, and it fits really well. Also, while I was watching this movie, I got a lot of Night of the Living Dead vibes from this when they're locked inside the house and they're like starting to board up windows. They're fighting shrews off with weapons. They got guns, but they're not shooting at them for some reason. And I didn't, I guess I didn't understand it, but at the same time, I was like, whatever, I don't care. It's a black and white movie. It's old. So this is what they did back then. But if you like Night of the Living Dead, I don't know if you'd like this or not, but I did. It reminded me of that, and I just enjoyed it. Like Ricky said, these are supposed to be 50 to 100-pound rats. They're clearly dogs. And there's parts of this movie where they're puppets. And I don't know which one I liked more. I think I'm going to lean towards the puppets just because, it looked like a shrew. It did look like a dog with a wig running around at night. But yeah, overall, I'm with Ricky. I was just kind of right in the middle with this movie. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. Tom, what's your opinion?
The dogs were pretty hilarious because it looked like dogs running with like carpet on top of them. I want to watch the movie in color just to see what they look like at that point, because realistically in black and white you can get away with a lot. Things are far away. You can't really tell what's supposed to be what. I think you can get away with a lot of special effects, like either, I don't want to say haphazardly, but like, if you just can't pull it off at that point in time, I think black and white really helps you out. So I'm really curious to see what these dogs look like in color. Excuse me. One thing that I thought was really funny. So the whole thing, a guy and who was with the main actor? There was a black gentleman, and I don't know where he fit into anything in the story. I don't know if he was the captain of the boat or, what it necessarily was, but they go to an island, and of course, that man is the one who ends up dying first from the shrews because it's a 1950s horror movie, and that's how it's supposed to go, apparently. But it's really funny because he like climbs up a tree, and it's just dogs barking at him on the bottom of a tree, very obviously. But anyways, goes to this island, finds out they're doing some little chemical testing or something to that effect on these shrews on this island. Now there's a bunch of them. They're very large, and they're trying to get back off the island. So it happens just like any other horror movie. All the scary stuff happens at night, right? And so they can't leave because the shrews hunt at night only. You only see them at night. So they just have to make it through the night, right? So instead of just bunkering down in the house, because they see that the shrews can make their way into the house, and it's an adobe house, right? They said.
Yeah.
So they're just busting their way through there. They try and make it out to their boat to get away. Things happen. People don't like other people, blah, 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 drama, all that kind of stuff. Some of the acting is pretty gosh darn terrible. The main actress in the movie, Anne, I think is her character's name. I don't know if she just had a really thick accent or what it was, but everything she said just sounded dumb to me. And I don't mean that in any way because she's a woman or anything like that. Just listening to her talk, she sounded like she was just not all there when she talked to people or explained things. And again, it could be an accent thing. I really don't know. It just didn't land for me at all. Another character, when he got hit by one of the shrews, because they have poison in them, you will die instantly no matter what happens. He goes right back into typewriting on a typewriter. Some research. I don't know if he's like, oh, I got bit, and nothing. He never explains what he's doing. You never find out what he was doing on his little typewriter. And then he just falls over and croaks. And in the best way, the entire movie, he just rolls off the chair, like the bench that he's on, onto the ground. And they're like, oh my God, he's dead. So yeah, some of the acting was pretty rough. But again, I guess when you look at these things and you always expect it to be kind of bad, then you kind of get more of a jokey, fun aspect out of it. But then when you have like really good movies that came from that same time period, you're like, oh, people just, they can act or they can't. And sometimes you get movies where people can't act for anything. But yeah, I could go on with some other things. But Ricky, tell us what you liked or didn't like, or any of that kind of nonsense.
Just to add to the bad acting from the Anne character, really the biggest thing that bothered me with her performance was when Mario, the Hispanic guy, I'm assuming he was like a butler or something around the home, but whenever he died and like they panned the camera over to her, she does not look upset. She looks relieved, like when he died. Like it's like she was supposed to have a reaction that she was upset that he died, but she was like, it looked like she was relieved. I was like, wait a minute. But story wise, there was one thing that really, really, really bothered me throughout the movie, and which, I mean, I get it kind of reveals itself later throughout the movie, but during, like, while they're in the house and all that, and no one seemed to be concerned with the character. He kept calling him Rook. I'm assuming that's his name, the black gentleman, but no one seemed to be concerned with him at all. Like, he didn't return to the house or anything, and no one was asking questions. And then later throughout the movie, as it progressed, I was like, wait, were they expecting him to stay in the boat while there's a fucking hurricane happening?
Exactly.
That was a huge plot hole for me. I was like, you're just gonna leave him in the boat while there's a fucking hurricane? That makes no sense. But I mean, my list of notes was pretty short. That was really my biggest complaint. But yeah, Matt, where you want to go next?
I don't think there's really a whole lot of stuff that you guys didn't mention that I didn't like in this movie. Really, it was pretty summed up in everything there with the wigs on the dogs and the way that the story worked with Rook and everything, where you got this hurricane, but we're gonna leave him on the boat. But for some reason, he never makes it to the boat. I don't remember why he didn't make it or why he got off the boat. Um, but yeah, it turned out real poor. Like he climbed up the worst tree in the forest too, which was kind of funny. I thought for a second that first lightning strike, when it strikes and then they stop for a minute, I was like, he got killed by lightning. Like, wow, okay, that would be kind of cool, I guess. Like, not very, I guess, believable in that situation, but that's kind of where I was like, oh, okay. And then they flip back to him. You get to see the tree fall and everything, and then it just looks like a bunch of puppies like crowding over you when you lay down on the ground. But they ate him. So other stuff like Tom mentioned, her accent. She kept saying shrews, but it sounded like shoes to me. But I knew what she was saying, so I could easily overlook that as well. I hated the villain character in this. Really, I didn't think he was really good at it. Thought he was more of a sleazy kind of scumbag, more than like a guy that was plotting to kill them or whatever, or just betray him. And the other thing I really didn't like was at the end of the movie their escape plan. He's like, let's get in these chemical drums and we're gonna use them as tanks. And like when you look at it, you're like, these guys are gonna squat down in these. And he even says duck walk to the beach, which who knows how far it is. It's not close enough that they can just run to it to get there. So I foresee that they were in this for quite a long time, and who knows what the weather is like. It looks like a giant oven that they're just going to be crawling around in. And uh, even with eye holes in it, they seem like they had no idea where they were going, because they're like, oh, sand, we've made it to the beach. But here's this giant like hole that they're looking at, and they couldn't tell that they'd made it to the water yet. But yeah, those are the kind of like things that I just wanted to complain about. Nothing really too bad. One of the things I liked about this movie was one of the best lines in the movie at the very end. And I don't know if any of you picked it up, but when the doctor's like, in 48 hours, there will only be one shrew left due to overpopulation. And the guy is with the girl, Anne, who is also this guy's daughter, if I remember correctly. And he's like, tonight, I'm not worried about overpopulation. I love that for some reason. It made me laugh a lot. Fantastic. But yeah, Tom, what kind of things did you like?
You know, that's a baby making joke if I've ever heard it. And in the 1950s, that's pretty solid. One other thing I wanted to mention, and it's unfortunately not something that I liked, but one thing that I noticed and continued to notice, and I understand this was a low budget movie, and that's totally fine, but the house that they were in the entire time looked like a high school musical set to me. Like I felt like every once in a while you could see the top of the wall where the ceiling was supposed to be, but it wasn't there, you know, and like the walls didn't look like real walls. There's a hallway shot where the act Anne is in the hallway, and it is the most like cardboardy looking walls I've ever seen. That I couldn't get past that. I could get past the dogs or the puppets, you know, I honestly could, and I'm just be like, yeah, it's a cheesy movie, rah, 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 puppet, you know. But no, those walls of that hallway and the house was just so distracting to me. One thing I wanted to mention, which I'm very curious if you guys want to do it at some point in time, there is a sequel to this movie that came out in 2012. Well over 50 years since the first movie came out. One of the longest breaks between an original and a sequel ever. And I watched the trailer earlier, and it is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. The main actor comes back. He is in this movie, which is pretty sweet. And then like three of the guys from Dukes of Hazzard are all in this movie, from the original Dukes of Hazzard TV show, are all in this movie. And it's about bringing the original actor back to the island because there's an issue and they want to film some weird reality TV show. It's very much like H2O or something, you know? Is that the one with Busta Rhymes in it?
No, that's Resurrection.
Resurrection. That whole time period of Halloween, I totally skip. I don't listen, I don't watch any of that garbage. But yeah, so just like Resurrection, they want to shoot some reality TV nonsense, and it's all the dogs, I don't mean to call them dogs, 100%. I'm not doing that on purpose. All the shrews are CGI. There's not a single real one or a puppet at all. All CGI, and not good CGI either. They don't have it. It's like Tremors 3, Tremors 4 CGI, 4 or 5, one of those. Bad. There's an explosion in the trailer where like I was going to call them tremors now. Some of the shrews catch fire, and oh my God, you guys, if you think those bees look bad in Candyman 2, this is like some hot garbage. It 100% looks like they made this movie for, $50,000 max. And so, yeah, go watch that trailer on YouTube. I would post it directly after our video, but they may give us copyright things or whatever. So go watch it. It's on there. And it's fucking bad, you guys. It's so bad. Maybe we'll watch it someday. And on our off time, I hope we wouldn't actually talk about it on here, but maybe we'll have a beverage-filled rant about the return of the Killer Shrews, I believe is the title. Otherwise, I have nothing else to say about this movie at all, to be honest with you. So if anyone doesn't have anything else to say, I'm gonna give it a rating while I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
Everyone good with that?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Beautiful. I believe, Ricky, you're my historian. What did I give our last black and white movie rating wise?
2.5, I think.
2.5? Yeah. That sounds about right. And so I definitely have to go lower than that because I enjoyed Wasp Woman. And in all honesty, I got bored during this movie. I caught myself a few times picking up my phone like more than normal to look at stuff and whatnot. And I was like, I'm supposed to be paying attention to this. It's the whole reason I'm watching this movie is to pay attention to it. And I couldn't really do it. So I'm going to give it a 2. I'm not going to drag it down too far because there's some fun things and I get where it's coming from. And, one of the first times you ever direct a movie, I get it. It can be hard. I've never done it. I can't, knock someone that hard for something that I've never even tried, So I'm going to give it a 2 overall. Maybe the colored version will score a little higher. I doubt it. I think it'll be worse.
I think it will too.
Yeah, I honestly think it'll be worse watching it in color because you'll catch those things that were hidden by that black and white. But anyways, Ricky, what do you give this fine feature film?
I'm right there with you. I had two in mind before you even started. Like I said, when I was talking about whether I liked it or not, I said it's about average, maybe a little below that. So I went with just below average. 2.5 would be average. So yeah, I'll stick with the two. Just if you're gonna watch this movie, just like we said, prepare yourself for 1950s black and white practical effects. I mean, that's all the advice we can give you. Matt, what you got on it?
I like always. I also had a 2 in mind, so I'm right in line again with everyone. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It's just kind of a middle of the road movie. Like Ricky was saying, got to have an open mind when you watch it. With saying that, if you have watched The Twilight Zone and you liked it, this is probably something to be right up your alley. And you get an hour and 9 minutes of it instead of what, 30? Was The Twilight Zone 30 minutes? Something like
I
that.
believe so.
So yeah, I would suggest like what Tom was doing to go back and watch the colored one. You might like it better. If you're into bad movies, you might like it. It could be better in general, and you might like it for that reason too. I am curious though about this return of the Killer Shrews, so I'm definitely looking forward to checking that out as well. But yeah, good movie. I guess for the time, I'm not gonna say it's a great movie, even though I like almost did right there. I'm not gonna say it.
It was on the tip of your tongue.
Yeah, like in my long babble right there of just random crap, it almost slipped right out, but it wasn't that good. So
As I pull up our little spinny wheel to decide what our next movie is going to be, I should have something to say more about this one, and I really don't. So I'm thoroughly excited to look at an advertisement. Thanks.
I don't know.
Avocados. Have you guys heard about all the crazy stuff going on with avocados? Speaking
There's
of
a
avocados,
shortage. Yeah.
yeah, gangs are taking over avocado farms, and it's becoming like cartel nonsense. It is crazy. Anyways, I didn't take Killer Shrews off of this, so if for some reason it lands on it again, we'll just spin it one more time. Here's the wheel. As you can see, there's some things on it. Not gonna let you look at it close enough. Boop, 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 boop. We're gonna watch another Matt movie, I think.
Nope.
Oh, is that a Ricky movie? You had it right there. Donovan's Brain, another black and white 1950s movie, I'm going to guess.
1953.
Ooh, it's even older.
There we go. Is there a short little explanation of what that one's about?
No, there is a giant explanation.
You'll have to tune in to episode 14 to hear about that giant explanation because we don't have enough time in this episode. Thank you guys so much for stopping by for episode 13, the Killer Shrews episode. Hopefully we'll maybe we'll do a little Instagram live chat about the return of Killer Shrews just for fun. But thanks again. Please like and subscribe if you have not done so already. And if you have, we appreciate you very, very much. We will see you guys very soon for episode 14 on Donovan's Brain.